Good.
Okay, I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order, the special voting meeting to order. We rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Mr. Scott, can you call the roll?
Yes. Miss Albright.
Here.
Mrs. Bell.
Here.
Mrs. Godfrey.
Here.
Mrs. Leone, I know is not here this evening. Mr. Miller. Here. Miss Olson.
Here.
Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Strobel.
Here.
Mrs. Thompson.
Okay, thank you. Procedures for public participation are on the wall over there. Getting there. There we go. Yeah, all that stuff in blue. Hasn't changed since last time. And do you want to make a comment first, or do you want me to do presentations to the public first?
You can do presentations.
Okay.
Presentation.
All right. So now, if anyone has any presentations from the public on agenda items, you can come forward.
Is the right time?
Yep.
Which one do you sign?
Is that on?
Oh,
Meeting, speaker.
I apologize.
Special voting.
Special voting.
Special voting.
Yeah, I know they're all empty, so it was hard to tell them apart.
So I'm here in front of you today because
Oh.
we're once again asking our school board to stop. I urge you to get more information to make sure that the facts from the sale of BC are going to positively affect our community. This could be the concrete shoes, so to speak, that when we throw you in the water, we sink to the bottom. This school building is located in the heart of our community. Maybe your zip code is not affected, but mine is. The sale of my house is affected. The kids in my community are affected. They're already an hour bus ride away. And I think that urging you to really consider not only the fiduciary responsibility, but your social responsibility in getting rid of this building. I stood before you many a time and swallowed the decision to close this building. Close this building that was systematically neglected for maintenance. Close this building that APC was giving central air, but you couldn't even use it. You're not selling that building, but you're selling the only school building in my town. And out of the district, we're the only borough that doesn't have any building at all. So I would ask you that you know the facts first. I know for a fact that our zoning person has heard nothing from the person who's the front bidder on this. I've heard that it's for veterans housing. That could be anything to me. Okay? I know the other two entities that have given you a bid. I know Nate Halter, and I know he's spoken to our zoning person to see if his dream can come true. And it seems like it might be a decent plan for a community. The church that's in there now has systematically proven support for every member of our community by doing so many things. And it could be a really good fit for the middle of our community to have something like that church right there, providing, different events and worship services. So I'd really like for you to make sure that you know what you're signing. Don't rush into it. You're closing this week, really? Are we really disposing of this building? It seems to me like it's the albatross. You don't live near it. You have to look out your window for it. You've got to get the facts before you do it, please. I'm urging you to. If you have some willy-nilly idea that it might be this, I think we owe it to a fourth-year school district to find out, has this been authorized as veteran housing? What is that going to look like? Okay? Before we sell a building that's going to be plopped in the middle of a community that may have a use that may devastate that community. So I don't know where your hearts lie tonight. I'm not saying that, I hope that I'm not being offensive, but you can understand that I've fought for this building time and time again. I have a passion for my community, and I feel like, we've just been sort of set aside. And I really want you to look, and before you say yes, you better know every detail. Because I'm going to tell you, if it goes in there and it's something that is absolutely horrible, I'm going to come back to this. And I'm going to say to this school board, you're no better than the other school boards that you're going to tell me you're going to be better from. You got to listen to what we're saying, please. So I would say, yes, we got to look at money, that's your responsibility. But I would say you really got to look at what the use of that building is going to be, please, before you vote. And I would urge you not to vote tonight. I would say you probably don't have enough information tonight. Because our borough council and our zoning board has no information, so I'm guessing you probably don't have a lot more on that. So please don't rush into it. I would say wait. What's the rush? It's been sitting there for this long. You have someone in there who's leasing the building. So I would just urge you to stop, to think, to make sure you have every detail. And please, before you say yes to that sale, please make sure it benefits our community as well as the Dayton Union Schools.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on any agenda items? Okay. We will have some back and forth when we get to that agenda item. I'm not just dropping everything that was discussed. Right now I want to move on to announcements. Agenda edits. I do not think we have anything for the special voting meeting. Okay. Can I get a motion for 3A1? Mr. Strobel, can I get a second?
I'll make that.
Mr. Scott, okay, this motion is for designation of an agent for all filings for payment to the district from the various monetary sources that are available related to COVID-19. It's to centralize that process. If Dr. Cooper or Ms. Haynes want to explain a little bit more, if that doesn't do it.
This is just for the filing of FEMA. It's the state federal funding that they need a designee, someone that's going to be, I'm the one that's going to have my hands in the file. I'm going to be pulling all the documentation, making sure that we get our best bang for our buck, trying to get everything filed. So they just need someone inside the district that's going to be doing that.
Right. Sometimes when we have, I believe that it's probably pretty important for that person not to be a board member, because, and sometimes also with other staff members, because of COVID, not everybody's in the office every day. So, I think that having our CFO be that person, makes sense. Does anybody else have any questions for either Ms. Haynes or Dr. Cooper about that motion? If no, then can we get a vote?
Ms. Albright.
Yes.
Mrs. Bell.
Yes.
Mrs. Godfrey.
Yes.
Mrs. Leon is not here. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Strobel.
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Olson.
Yes. Okay. Okay, moving on to the next item. We got 3A2. Can I get a motion before the board?
Make that motion.
Mr. Strobel, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Miller. Okay, I believe that Dr. Cooper had some things he wanted to say, and then we could open the floor to questions or comments.
Yeah, if I could just kind of walk the board back through how we first learned of this opportunity for the sale of the Birdsville Elementary Center. District had first received unsolicited interest from a single party expressing their desire to purchase the former Birdsville Elementary Center this past fall, and it was early this fall that took place with that unsolicited offer. The district, in due diligence, we sought 2 appraisals as approved by the board and as a requisite by law for the property, one coming in at $785,000 and the other one coming in at $800,000. The district received unsolicited interest from 4 additional parties. After receiving both appraisals, the district reached out to all 5 interested parties, indicating that we will be entertaining offers for the potential purchase or sale of that former Birdsville Elementary Center by a specified date. 3 offers were formally made by 3 of the 5 initially interested parties, with one of them being asked to be acted upon by the board this evening, being the highest offer, as you see, at $800,000 from EMS 3000 LLC. With the former elementary center being a public building and the sale thereof needing approval by the county judiciary system, district solicitor recommendation was that the district only entertain the highest bidder, as accepting any other would require significant rationale otherwise and compromisability selling the former property, which is why the board is being asked to act upon the motion that's presented this evening on the agenda.
Comments, questions, discussion?
Yeah, I have a comment with regards to the responsibility of the board. Responsibility of the board to the community, which it has. Just because I've been involved with other types of commercial purchases and things of that nature, I know that I can promise you anything on the way in, whatever I want later, if I can get it done through the borough. And so, for us as a board today, we fiduciary responsibility to the school, to all the taxpayers in the entire area. That's a huge expense right now for us. And the borough has full control over what they're going to allow to take care of that building. As a matter of fact, one of the bids, if I remember, had a contingency in there. They needed to get all their borough approvals because they were concerned they were going to make an investment and then not be able to go through with what they wanted to go through. Because the borough holds those strings. We have no control over that. So the borough hopefully has a fiduciary responsibility and a moral responsibility, or whatever the other responsibilities that was mentioned at the town today, to make sure that whatever's done in there is going to fit in that community. Because that's they have all the power to be able to do that. We have no power here. We could make them sign a document saying that you're going to put, you're going to give free candy away every weekend. They in the building, they don't have to hold any of that. There's the things you can put in there to do that. The borough holds their strings. I just want to make sure that we're all aware of it.
Anybody else have any comments right now? Come on up. And just introduce yourself.
My name is Lori Livingston. I'm the representative of potential buyers of this district.
Can you lean into the mic a little bit?
I
I
know,
apologize.
this is terrible.
I know. He's going to try to fix
My
it.
name is Lori Livingston. I'm here. I represent buyers. They're the ones that have proposed the offer and are able to do it. I just want to assure you if you have any questions that I may be able to answer for the board with their proposed use. I'd be happy to answer what you have. But in terms of the present facility, that the leases will be honored. There's no intention of doing anything with the church that is there. They do not propose to have that changed to the township or the community because they see it as positive. So those, the fields that the teams use, these people are local as well. They didn't want to see the big entity come in and do the same thing for their township. part of the community and we want to give back to the community. And the intentions are not in any way, shape, or form from a corporate entity takeover. It's really to give back to the community. And things like the church will remain close.
Can you said you would entertain any questions. Can you say, I mean, I've heard 5 different things that is going to be. Can you state what your plans are for that?
The intention of Iron Hats is to actually have a Florida flags. It's not necessarily geared towards men because there is indeed a debate on the team working with Georgesboro that we need a veteran center or over 55 community. So the best proposed use for the building would be mixed use, keeping church there, commercial entities that would be good for the community, a medical office, a dentist office, something like that. But then the higher floors be left for residential or class.
So is that akin to Section 8 housing?
That is yet to be proposed because that's an application process that has to be done post the renovations.
Yes.
We can't prove that before the borough limits.
Okay, just to clarify, I couldn't quite hear you, but I think I heard that the bottom floors are going to be commercial property and the church could stay and the upper floors are going to be residential.
That is correct. That is what the Bayfield has proposed this is.
And of course, as Mr. Strobel said, everything has to be approved by the borough.
That is correct. There's no other process. They have actually approached the borough and have been in discussions with them, not as formal because it's not their ownership at present.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
It's hard to hear you, I apologize, but yeah, but I got that from Steve now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comment.
I'm actually pleased to hear the
Thank you,
church
Governor.
say. We did not hear that before. I'm actually pleased with the plan the church
This
say.
is the first time I'm hearing that,
That's as well.
but this is also the first time I'm hearing that there might be additional, retail or commercial space in the bottom floor.
Retail,
No, yeah, I guess, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of square footage, but when you look at a facility and the architecture, you don't necessarily want to mix the two, so there's going to be a segregation.
Mhm.
But for 100% certainty, that basketball court is set.
And again, you go back to, I can tell you the property we bought, we had intentions for using it a certain way. We couldn't use it that way.
No, I understand.
It just didn't fit what they felt was necessary. It was very frustrating, but I understand protecting the borough, protecting the community, and that's the key. That's the idea behind it.
And one thing I did, want to ask is that, we're coming out of the holiday period. We're also coming out of a period where our ability to meet as a group was limited because of the additional COVID restrictions that were in place on the 3 weeks around the holidays. Is there? I understand that you first, the discussions and looking into the property started some months ago, and so it's not like it's all of a sudden thing.
This
But
actually started early summer.
yeah, no, I understand. And is there a particular reason? Is there a magic to the date of the 15th? Other than the fact that we would have to renegotiate if we didn't hit that date.
There's actually a 180-day addendum.
I understand, yeah.
That is based on what has been explained by Mr. Supers as the process for the Board of Common Pleas.
Right.
So there is a time frame within, it takes about 3 weeks to kind of get it submitted, the docket, number, etc., and then scheduled. And that's, of course, if the Board of Common Pleas is in backlog because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a 30-day process for appeal once the Court of Common Pleas approves it. So they even have to put the back-end cushion before the sale transaction is actually executed upon.
Okay. And you said age-restricted age-restricted housing was looked at and decided that at this point, anyway, that's not the plan?
When we started this earlier, 2020,
Yeah.
and reaching out to the different organizations within Birdsboro just to validate if a special use purpose would be viable, at the time, the numbers didn't make sense for like a whole 200,000 square foot building to be all dedicated to veterans or
Yeah.
seniors or 55 older type environment.
I don't know, I don't believe I speak for everyone up here when I say this, but it does give me a little pause that the business plan of your client, it has morphed. Oh, it makes me nervous. What you're saying to me doesn't sound terrible, but you know, it's, I mean, you know, you said you had looked at the possibility of doing VA. This is, like I said, this is the first. Maybe your plan was always to have commercial on the first floor, but that was the first I had heard of that.
Okay.
Now maybe that was always
The only
right.
reason in regards to that is that we are absorbing the current tenant.
Correct. Yeah.
So that had to be part of the equation moving forward because we are absorbing the leases and some of them don't go up till 2024. So that's an extended time frame, but after touring the property, it was very comfortable keeping the church there.
Birdsboro, is it Birdsboro Youth Baseball or Boone Youth Baseball that uses the fields? Okay, Blazer Youth Sports. Now, as you know, the thing is any assurance that we, you know, these are the things that are the intangibles that I want to consider when voting as to whether or not we're selling to a new buyer. And so if you assure me that they're going to continue to make those fields available and usable to the local community, you don't have to stick with that, you know. So I don't know what that assurance.
They just have to work out the liability associated
Yeah.
to it because it's now under their ownership.
So I mean, I wanted to ask the question with the knowledge that, you know, that might change for the, you know, which is concerning for me.
They have no intentions of changing the fields, changing the basketball courts in the rear. There's a trail, the bike trail, I believe, on the side there. They're trying to keep it intact for the community.
You know, the other folks that had put their hat in the ring that had given us lower bids or bids with with strings attached that maybe were a lot for us to consider. But they are folks who we've, as a district, had lots of dealings with. So if one of those people said to me, we're going to definitely continue to, you know, lease the fields to the baseball team, you know, I'd be inclined to believe it because I know them, you know, and those are the non-monetary parts of selling the building that they, you know, while, as you know, Mr. Strobel pointed out, we don't have a lot of control. Once we sell the building, you know, we don't have any control over what happens in it. But I feel better because it's, you know, it's, I mean, I thought.
They are local.
Yeah, no, I understand.
They are not going to take anything that the community is used to using like the fields.
I mean,
I would be poorly representing my client if
I understand.
they absolutely without getting the liability association and all those dealings.
I just wanted you to understand why I'm not ready to, you know, I'm not ready to let the balloons drop from the ceiling at this point on this
Well,
possible
I mean,
deal.
I can assure you.
You know,
They are local.
Where
They are local. All of their kids have attended that school.
I guess I have a question. I'm hearing her say, yes, we're going to keep the deals. Yes, we're going to keep the things. Yes, we're going to keep all those things. I don't know what are we looking for doing?
but you started the conversation with,
But
Julia just told you.
Yeah.
It's hard to swallow because the other people we already have a relationship with.
Correct.
I mean, Hunter, if he messes, I can go and eliminate his contract next year. Like, there we have some, we know these people. So it's not a matter of what, if anything you can say. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's letting us absorb it and feel it for a
No, I
while.
get it.
Like,
The other part of it too is.
And that's why,
It's nothing that she's saying that's wrong.
And that's why I
I'm
asked-
trying to understand it better. I'm just trying to understand. The second thing is that they did want to do something with it. The borough has to approve all that. So you get.
Well, I heard the borough's a mess.
It goes
so-
back to the borough.
He's worked with the borough very much, so, and it's like,
Was that
I'm not working for the borough.
I know, you used to, not now.
yeah, they're familiar with working with the borough, and they feel secure that, you know, with the proposed architecture in place and working with them, that they can come up with a solution. They even had suggested if there's anything that the board, you know, would feel better suited, you know, by all means, just, you know, make suggestions, but things like the field and the community, those are, you know, and that, lack of a better term, no-brainers for them to keep, because their intention is to keep the community and just make it make sense.
So full disclosure that, you know, I was one of the people who was the most against closing that building. When we had a lot more students, granted, you know, I was very upset when we physically closed it, when we had our last kids come out of there. Yeah, but at the same time, I was facing reality of the declining enrollment. That was the reality, and there's nothing that now. Looking at anything that's happening with our enrollment this year is just don't bother looking at it, because it's not going to tell you anything because of COVID. But you know, our enrollment does not justify having that building open. I'm aware of that, and I am willing to, you know, move forward. I just wish I felt better.
How many units though? I mean, you're talking about we don't have the
Front-
numbers to justify school, and then how many units are gonna bring in more kids? Where are those kids gonna go?
Absolutely,
You have-
that is true.
How many units is it?
Well, again, that would have to go through the architectural
Right.
details,
Yeah.
to go with the
Yeah.
design committee of the township, so they have a proposed number in mind, but you're gonna have to walk through the architect and make sure that it would be appeased. So there's differences. If you put in a bunch of 2-bedroom units, we have to allow for X amount of parking spots.
Right.
But it also wants to keep the area green. So, you know, we want to keep the baseball field, maybe build another baseball field. You know, so we have to go with the numbers that the township provides.
Yeah. I don't know. Is
Can I
there-
ask a question?
Yes.
I'm just asking because it just seems like, are we allowed to know who the buyer is? I mean, would that make us feel a tiny bit better? I mean, just maybe it's Bob Smith that's like around the corner, and I don't know. I mean, do we know? We don't officially know the buyer, correct? We may not.
I know the
I mean, does that
buyer.
make
I know
it-
who the buyer is, but I'm not going to say
Oh, okay,
it because,
okay.
you know, but it's because, yeah, so it's, you know, there's a name listed at the Pennsylvania State Business site as the owner of the LLC.
Okay. I mean,
You know?
I'm hearing that, you know, a lot of people are having concerns that maybe it would be better if we knew X, you know, you'd feel a little bit better. But I think there's certainly 3 of us that were part of, we were in the meetings when the 2 boards ago, maybe, that we're closing this school. And I think I'll speak for at least the 3 of us, Ms. Albright, Ms. Olson, and myself. We were here, and it got really hot, and we know how important this building is to the community. So that's what I think. I'll speak for I can't speak for anybody, but I guess the 3 of us maybe would have these feelings that we lived there. We saw. I mean, we were worried. I mean, I was worried tonight that we'd be packed. You know, that people would be here, and
So was I.
Yeah,
and
Monty, by the way, I've been here for a number of years. I was here too.
Oh, yeah.
oh, okay.
He
Steve
was.
was part of that too. So, I'm sorry. That's right. That's all right.
And I can assure you, every one of their children, their children went through Birdsboro Elementary School. So they know the community, every one of them. They too don't want to see somebody come in and knock it down or put something else that wouldn't benefit the community. So, and this is why they had asked to see what we could do. I mean, I was the one who started the fund. I was the one who used phone call and wrote the letter back in June.
I just like that, I mean, during the early process of closing school, I would not agree.
Absolutely.
That question's gone.
I know, and that's what I'm saying, you know, and I've said this a couple of times, I don't know if I've said it in a public meeting, but I will now, you know, the way that we currently have the elementary schools set up, the idea was to have everybody who was being taught at the same grade level to be in the same building. Every feedback that I've gotten back from teachers, that although that's not 100% as promised, perfect, that is a great benefit. Now, if that is the case, we're not moving at any point back to a 3 elementary school district. If that's the case, and that's just the reality that I'm forced to suck up, you know. And so with that in mind, we spend the assessed price of this building every 3.5 years to keep it running, over and over, you know, and it's not made up for by our lease.
I think that, I respectfully, I don't know you from anybody, but I think there's a certain point, she's saying the right thing, she's trying to, you know, they're talking about the community, you know, just like you said about the dollar, you know, I think we just have to get, I feel like, personally, just getting over what we went through a few years ago, that Steve went through too.
Yes.
But,
He's just quieter than the rest of us. We're just loud.
But yeah, that's it. I mean, you know, once it leaves here, if I'm correct, and then now they have to go in front of the zoning, and we have to believe that the zoning group will, or committee or what have you, will do the right thing, and for the town or for the town. So, is that?
Yeah, and to assure you, it's like at least an 18-month process to get everything in through.
From here?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not an easy task.
No, I imagine it's
Yeah,
not.
so-
There's a reason, I guess you have to go through that, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, there's a lot involved. I mean, you're talking
This is
about
just
multi-million-dollar
step 2.
projects.
right.
That will actually, you know, once they're assessed, will benefit the school district tremendously, you know, in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay. Any I know that there's 2 of our newest members, but the others from District 3, do you have anything you wanted to ask or add? Yeah. Anybody else before we vote? Have anything they want to say or ask? Thank you very much for entertaining our questions.
I just want to make sure everybody's rest assured that this isn't going to a conglomerate. It is a community person, and they're really looking out for the benefit of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? Maybe the front row here with the green mask. But we have been talking about this a lot lately, whether it's out in public or we, you know, discussed it in executive sessions and stuff like that. So I don't think we're taking this lightly. Hopefully you're hearing that a little bit right now. I mean, I don't know what the vote will be, but, you know.
I just feel like our community is withered because you not voting.
Yeah,
Because our community has withered because we don't have kids. That people don't want to buy houses in our community because their kids are kids. I don't know how they are. And I guess selling that building really makes me upset because I feel like are you never going to have full day kindergarten? You know, are we ever going to get our kids back in our community? It's a hard sell. It's
Right.
really a hard sell. And I want to sell my house because my kids are graduating. And I'm not going to be able to because, you know, we don't have a community people want to live in because they don't have a school. So, you know, I get your position. You want the help.
We also are getting information from the school district and the numbers and, you know,
I get that. I
the
get that.
realistic
You know,
future of that area.
it's harder when you live in the
I completely
You gotta
understand.
know that. You just gotta
Sure.
know that.
Thanksgiving hour-long bus ride.
Yeah. Like you gotta understand the ripple effect that Mr. Harris did when he left. And
you.
we're still picking up the pieces here, aren't we? We're all picking up the pieces.
Some of us know that.
Yeah, right, you all do. We're-
Okay.
So I just feel like maybe we can put a pre-K in. Right, maybe that would be a good use for that building. The first floor is used for it, you got the bathroom for the classroom, right? It's like, right, well, let's put like more in there, let's keep those kids.
they're not opposed to that at all.
I just would like to add that my daughter's in kindergarten this year, and they did add more full-time classes. So they added more full-time classes, and their threshold to give them full day was changed a little bit. So there were many that were included. I just wanted to add that I have 4 young kids. I live in Berkshire as well, and my oldest is only 9, and I was sad that she can't go to school closer to home, but she's doing well in Amity, and the bus ride's like 20 minutes at home, so unfortunately.
We don't want our whole community to be affordable housing.
Oh, yeah, it's not that, like, for Section 8,
So-
all that, it can't be,
I'm
so.
not trying to-
Before we head down that road,
But thank you for considering all.
any other comments before we vote? Questions? Mr. Scott?
Right. Mrs. Bell,
As
Mrs. Godfrey,
Yes.
Mrs. Albright,
No.
Mrs. Leone's not here. Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
yes.
Ms. Olson,
No.
Six yeses and 2 noes.
Okay. All right. All right, so we're moving on to personnel. Oh, there's still a blank in one of, are we voting on number 2 there? Motion to approve contracted services, because it doesn't have,
Excuse
or
me.
do we have a cost to put in?
Mrs. Haynes, we were
I
asked,
apologize, I forgot to give that information.
No, that's okay, what we got?
$97.50 an hour as needed.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion for 4A, 1, and 2?
So moved.
Mr. Miller? And second for Mr. Strobel. The reason we moved the nursing position on here is because we wanted, she's been doing a great job for us in a temp, through the temp service, and we wanted to get her as an employee of the district as soon as possible. That's why since we already had a special voting meeting scheduled, we added her on there. Confidential is self-explanatory. The contracted services through PASBO would either Mr. Hurley or Ms. Haynes, just the 50-cent version of what that's for.
We've had a lot of turnover in the district office, and this will afford us a position where I can concentrate on training, but I'll have somebody, not a full-fledged business manager, but like an assistant business manager that can help with the day-to-day stuff that's needed to get us all caught up.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on any of those 3 up for vote today?
Is this a new position, or is this something replacing somebody? I don't remember.
The one that I just talked about,
Yeah,
I know, it's just a temporary help
okay.
to get us caught up, and that is all.
But it says temporary of 260 days. We're looking to fill it before that? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, looking about there. So how long do we anticipate?
We have up to 12 weeks. It's not going to take that long.
Okay, any other questions about any of this going on? Mr. Scott?
Sure.
Sure.
Mrs. Albright,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mrs. Godfrey,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Strobel,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Olson.
Yes. Presentations by the public on issues. Seeing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Ms. Albright, can I get a second? A second, Ms. Bell. Okay, so we are going to adjourn the special voting meeting.